All right. So normally we'll start this off by saying good morning, Dolphin fans, but F that. It's not a good morning. How you doing, Trey? You want to talk about the game yesterday, or do you want to talk about fishing? What do we want to talk about this morning? Because that was ass last night, or yesterday, I should say.
I mean, shout out to Rosado. The Marlins made the playoffs.
Well done.
The Marlins
Well
are in.
done.
See if the
Well
Dolphins
done.
get there.
I knew there was something that we could find positive in this video.
Mm-hmm. Always something.
So, I talked about this in the podcast today that it's still uploading. But you know who I really feel bad for is the kids like Kyle, 24, maybe a 30, maybe a 18, and you have no memory of this team even winning a playoff game. And for somebody like me who has been there for almost since the beginning, really, um, you were hopeful, right? But this is now, I think, 0 and 5 since Marino retired. We're now 0 and
Mm-hmm.
5 after starting the season 3 and 0. And the, like Kyle and those people that age, they haven't had the hope ripped from their guts and shredded into a million pieces because they haven't really made the playoffs that much, right? So they're just trying to get this team to be like, hey, let's believe we're gonna, you know what I mean? And I feel bad for him because I asked Kyle, I said, when did you realize we weren't going to win that game yesterday? And he said when it was, I believe it was 41-20, and we didn't get that touchdown when we had driven down,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt bad for him because I knew when Buffalo scored two times, the first two times they had the ball, I knew then. I said, "Yep, this is we've seen this movie 1,000 times with the Dolphins and Bills."
My moment was right before the 2-minute warning. That turnover.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
even said it in the chat. I was like, all right, 1 yard right before the 2-minute warning. Let's just run it, get the first. And I also said right after that, don't get cute.
right.
And boy genius Mike McDaniel did exactly that. He got as cute as he possibly could, did a little pitch, and that went right onto the dirt. And I'm not overreacting. I'm not saying anything like get rid of Mike McDaniel. I'm not saying
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that. What I'm saying is he is a boy genius, and that can sometimes be to his detriment.
Right.
You can be too smart for a situation sometimes.
Yes.
I do think he thought running it up the middle for 1 yard was too simple, but simple works.
Of course, there's the part where Eichenberg is in the middle. So there's that. But look, the Dolphins have been in this zone for decades of either good enough to make the playoffs but not good enough to play with the big boys, or just, I mean, of the four times before this year, of the four times we started 3 and 0 since Marino retired, we only made the playoffs last year. That means the previous three times we started 3 and 0, we tanked so bad that we couldn't even make the playoffs. And that's with 16 games. And some of those seasons we only won 8. So we started 3 and 0 and then we finished the rest of the year 5 and 8. So the frustrating thing about yesterday's game specifically is, man, this what's going on with the defense reminds me of what Jimmy Johnson did. Not the defense, because Jimmy came in and fixed the defense, but Jimmy was brought in to get us over the hump. Okay, we were close, right? And people kind of got on Shula and said, "You're too old. It's time. The game is past." And I'm glad he wasn't around during this internet age to get
Oh
that
my.
kind of level of criticism. But Jimmy was brought in just we're this close, Jimmy. All you got to do is right. And he remade the defense, but he completely shredded the offense and just it never worked. And he tried to take players that didn't fit what he was trying to do. And instead of what Schuler would do, which is take the players I have and make it work based on their skill set, Jimmy came in and he insisted that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was going to be Emmitt Smith. It didn't matter how many times he got stuffed for 1 yard, 2 yards. Eventually, in Jimmy's mind, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because he drafted him, was going to become Emmitt Smith. And
he wasn't even Well Cinder.
Yeah. He wasn't even Sammy Smith, let alone Emmitt Smith. Okay?
Right.
And so what Fangio is doing, and you heard a little bit of it during the offseason where he was talking about, we still need depth here. We still need players here and everything. The defense wasn't bad last year. It was just not overly reliable, and we had to rely on that zero blitz too much. This defense, I'm not going to get to where I'm saying it's bad, but it's kind of bad. We're getting to that place. And like I said in the recap yesterday, I mean, we had to roll out that zero blitz to save us from the Chargers coming back. So the frustrating thing I'm seeing is right now, this looks like an absolute duplicate of the Marino years, where our offense is fantastic, but the defense is so bad that we can't stop anybody for, you can't get the 2, 3, 4 stops in a row that you need. And then your quarterback starts pressing and making, throwing interceptions because you're down 2, 3 scores and you kind of got to make something happen. And man, for a fan my age who's already seen this movie, I feel like I got remarried to my ex.
Well, I mean, the Dolphins defense has never been and when I say never, I'm talking about the current defense.
Yeah.
It's never been that get out of jail free card for Tua that some fans have always tried to say it was, but it's not bad either. It's always just been solid. You were playing one of the best offenses in the league that had a lot of bulletin board material. I mean,
yeah.
It sucks to just simplify it like that, but you were on the road against one of the best offenses in the league that had all the bulletin board material ready to go.
Right.
I mean, This team just scored 70 this past week. You guys almost lost to Zach Wilson. It's just a matter of when, not if. Like, that's what it all sounded like.
Right.
And, Dolphins got brought back to earth a little bit, but everything's still okay. You're not in the same position as Cincinnati. You're not in the same position as the Jets. And those are both teams that everybody had not even penciled in. They had penned into the playoffs.
Yes.
So we can relax for a second, like Aaron Rodgers would say. And at the same time, I was going to say, this is the same Bills team that lost to Zach Wilson, but the Chiefs almost lost to Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
That was what I was telling myself all afternoon after the game. Like, this is the same team the same team that did lose to Zach Wilson. And then a couple hours later, the Chiefs almost lose to Zach Wilson. And I'm like, you son of a bitch, Dolphins.
I tell you, one statistic that you'll never hear that happened yesterday. Our best running back yesterday averaged over 12 yards a carry. And we lost the game by 28 points.
What do you have? 1 carry?
No. Achane had.
I'm kidding because usually in that situation, 12-yard carry means you just keep feeding him all night.
Yeah.
Do that.
So there's good parts to take away. There you can see the good things and that, but and what was really frustrating, and then I mean, I guess death by whichever sword you want to pick. It's Kyle kept saying, when are we going to just bring out the zero blitz to try to make this better? And we never really did. It didn't look like we really made any adjustments. And look, we're probably going to, I think it's Giants and then the Panthers. So, I mean, barring some ridiculous, we're going to be 5-1, right? But eventually we need to beat some of these real teams. And
we do. And Philly's on the docket too. I'm going to correct myself from last week when I said Giants, Panthers, some other jabroni, Chiefs. That some other jabroni was the Eagles.
Right.
But I remember Sometimes when I'm trying to piece together my thoughts, I'll remember a fraction of it. And that was happening to me in that moment. So when I had looked at it previously to that, I was looking at Buffalo, I was looking at Philly, and we could just split one of those and beat the jabronis in the middle.
Yeah.
We're going into Casey, or going into Germany rather, 6 and
Right.
1, 7 and 1.
Right.
And like I said, if Taylor Swift goes on that trip, Travis Kelce's not going to catch a ball in that game. He's going to have a shit game, and we're going to win that. So hopefully Taylor goes on that trip, and they just have the most lovely European vacation ever.
Right. Right.
But back to the schedule. If you split Buffalo and Philly, obviously we've lost one of those already, so you got to beat Philly. I will take that record going to that Germany game every
Right.
single time.
Sure.
And Philly has looked beatable. They almost lost to the Redskins yesterday.
Yeah. 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 No, I don't disagree there at all. The
I
frustrating
know it's
thing.
Buffalo. I get it.
Well, it's the difference between January and going to Buffalo or
Mhm.
Kansas City versus them coming to us is the season. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to go beat Buffalo in AFC Championship game in January when it's 8. You know what I mean? I mean, you couldn't sell me that. I would never buy that lottery ticket. But you bring them down there to the Super Bowl in Miami in January when it's still in the mid 70s, might even be 80 degrees,
Mhm.
and you got a shot. The bigger issue for me at this point is really the defense, and because the Chargers got 33 on us, I think it was. We saw what happened yesterday when the game was a little bit out of reach. We kind of relaxed against the Patriots, and they had a couple of drives. We haven't really at any point looked like we're capable of being dominant. And the only times that we've been able to, when the chips have been down, when we absolutely have to have a stop, we revert to the zero blitz, which is why we brought in Fangio in the first place, so we wouldn't have to do that.
Right. Jalen Ramsey ain't expected until December, right?
Yeah.
He'd be a big help right now, especially against that offense yesterday.
Yeah. No, and look, and give credit to Buffalo, and they were able to have a balance. You know what I mean? They were able to have a run pass balance. Beyond frustrating. I was hopeful. Like, if we lose that game 34-31, like the playoff game, and we're right there, and Sanders misses the field goal to send us to overtime, I'd be pissed. But it's like, all right, we're still good.
Definitely
We
be
can
pissed.
right. I'd be, yeah. But this is a significant step back. Like the Panthers. The first time we took the Lightning to 6 games. So the next time we play them, we're thinking, all right, you know what I mean? And then we get swept. This is kind of like that, where it's like, this is way worse than we were against them last year. And that's frustrating.
I mean, it could have been worse. I had bad feelings going into that game as soon as I saw who was starting at center. I even said in the chat, you and Kyle, I said, I don't care how much Buffalo wins this game by. I just want Tua to be healthy by the end of it.
Right.
Tua is healthy
Yes.
at the end of it. And honestly, to Eichenberg's credit, he ain't the reason they lost that game.
No.
Was the line worse than it has been in previous weeks? Yes. Was the line as bad as it has been the other years? No. It was just a step back from what it had been, but it had been the best offensive line in the league the last 3 weeks.
Right.
So anything is going to be a step back. But when you rattle the names off, if Connor's not there and Tehran's not there, that's the same offensive line that had been giving all the problems. And they, to their credit, they played all right.
Yeah, I mean, the line wasn't terrible. It was just we need to have a run pass balance. Okay, we can't. Tua is a really good quarterback, but he's not probably going to be. He's not like a Marino or a Favre or one of those guys where you're going to throw him back there 50 times and he's, you know what I mean? You got to have some run pass balance there. And when your defense can't get a stop, it just ended up getting away from us. And I'm just incredulous. I mean, I cannot count on two hands and 2 feet how many Dolphins at Bills games have gone exactly like that. I mean, it is just you can see it from the get go. We can't stop their offense, and I mean, I'm still gun shy from Jim Kelly to Andre Reed and Don
Hmm?
Beebe and all of that, and it's just never gone away. The only time we had success against them was when they had like Rob Johnson at
JP
quarterback.
Losman and Trent Edwards and all those.
Yeah, it was the other Tyrod Taylor. Yeah,
Which is funny because even though Kelly and Marino are in the same draft, I don't really remember Kelly as much as Marino. Maybe if I grew up north, it would be the reverse. I'd remember Kelly, but maybe not Marino. But
yeah,
anyways, I don't really remember Kelly. So all I remember of the Bills is the JP Losmans and the Trent Edwards
right,
and
right, right.
the Drew Bledsoes and all that.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it's
Yeah,
it's kind of funny listening to you about with the history because I like for my history, it's always been like the Dolphins and the Bills both suck.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. And but if you go back to the mid '80s all the way up to the
Hmm. It was
early
like this,
'90s,
yeah.
it was exactly like this. And like I said, I just feel bad for Kyle and anybody who's when it was 31-14 at halftime. I'm sure people felt like we were gonna had a chance to come back and everything like that. And I've just seen it too many times where we came and got that touchdown, and then for whatever reason, McDaniel, like you said, I mean, it's not what cost us the game, but I mean, you go for the two, you get the ball to start the second half, you get the touchdown, and you go for the two, and it's just like like when the quarterback is pressing or somebody's defense is it was like McDaniel was pressing. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? It was like he was choosing spots to make decisions to hope that he can make some kind of magic happen. Like the 4th and 1, it was we were 2 touchdowns down, and it's like an inch. That was the one where they did the review and it looked like he had it past the marker, but I guess the refs felt it was out of bounds. It was like
Hmm.
an inch. We needed like 2 inches, and he puts Tua in the shotgun, and we throw a pass, and of course it ends up incomplete. And you're just like, man, Mike, just
Got too
just
cute.
I mean, put Ingold in at like the other day, the other last week when we
Hmm.
had put Ingold in to take the direct snap, and just have him lean forward if you're worried about Tua going into the line there and you don't want to get him hurt. There's ways to get an inch, Mike. You know
I
what
mean,
I
this
mean?
is this is Miami. You can do a direct snap to Mostert, and no one will bat an eye to that. And people would actually
Yeah, yeah,
like it,
yeah,
probably. But
yeah.
on the
Right.
subject of Mike McDaniel, I do want to say this before I forget it. This is why you kicked the field goal last week. This is why you should have kicked the field goal last week. All this talk about, oh, we don't want any bad karma affecting us later
Yeah.
in the season. It took 1 fucking week, Jaws. Kick the field goal, get the points.
Yeah, yeah. I
What good was
agree.
that karma? One
Right.
week.
I know. I
I'm
know.
just saying.
I
Just
I
saying.
I'm there with you, man. You know what I mean? But overall, look, we know the offense is going to pick it back up these next 2 weeks. Now, of course, us fans are kind of like we've already dunked the Giants and the Panthers. Now, if something happens in one of those games, then
Yeah.
we got problems, okay?
Yeah,
Because
then we can talk
we should
about
be
end of the world and all that.
right, right. We should be what the Bills did to us. That's what we should be doing to the Giants next week. It's at home. We just got embarrassed, and we should be putting up 80 points. I mean, I'm being hyperbolic, obviously, but you never know. Maybe
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
also Giants are playing tonight, so they're going to be on a short week. Like all
yeah,
the advantages are going to Miami. The Giants suck. They're going to be on the road. They're going to be in a Super Bowl. They're on a short week. They don't have an offense. That's the
yeah,
real thing. Like because not to sound like John Madden, but how you win the football game is by scoring more points, right? If there's
right,
any way that 60 minutes passes and the Giants have more points than the Dolphins, it's a big problem.
yeah, Yeah,
and they probably don't have Saquon either. Yeah, they got to win that.
yeah. No, we should be good to go. It's just so frustrating. We would have had a 2-game lead on the division, and now we're tied with all these other schmucks that are 3-1. So now you got Baltimore and you got a couple of other teams at 3-1, obviously. So that's now it's a dogfight where if we could have pulled this game off somehow, but you saw it from the very beginning. We had no answer. What do you think? Now, I don't think putting Howard on Diggs really would have made that much of a difference. I mean, Howard is good, but he's not. We've seen him have days get torched. I don't think it would have made a difference. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not too. I'm. I don't mean to offend any Dolphins fans here with what I'm about to say. I'm not too worked up over a regular season game. I'm really not. I understand the rivalry. I understand the history. I understand the stakes of being up 2 games as opposed to being tied. I understand all of that. It's a regular season game. I'm not going to do either of these things. I'm not going to expose anything that I might want to use in a playoff game against the Bills. I don't want to give away anything necessarily just to get a regular season win in week 4. And I also don't want to potentially have X following Diggs everywhere around the field, potentially hurt himself before a playoff game, because if nobody notices, the Bills may have won the battle but lost the war, because they did lose Tre'Davious White to an Achilles injury. Very unfortunate. But the reality of that is, for the Dolphins, is that's a big blow for the Bills. And I'm not saying Trey got overworked or anything like that, but you can potentially lead yourself to that happening.
Yeah.
So I'm not throwing all of my playbook out there. I'm not working up any of my players, and play the game and make adjustments and see how they play in Miami. And after that game, make adjustments and see how they play in January, whether that's at home or away. And I know that's not the answer Dolphins want to look at hear right now, but it's the truth.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, well, you take the emotion out of it, sure. You know what I mean? For me personally, I'm sitting there watching. I'm still pissed off about the $2,000 I lost when the Bills did exactly that to us in 1991. And I was sick of it already at 1991. That's how long they've been doing this shit to us.
2023.
Right. So,
I get it.
Yeah. But in the big context of things, you're not wrong, especially if Buffalo slips up somewhere along the way. But past that, the personnel on defense, I don't understand. You look at the names of the guys that we have, and you look at their individual abilities, and I just feel like there's got to be a better way. Like, I don't feel like Fangio is taking our players and putting them in the best position to succeed.
You would like to think, with the names that are on that front 7, that you'd be able to get pressure without having to blitz so many guys.
Right.
You would think that you can get to the quarterback with just 4 guys, but they don't seem to be doing that.
No, and now they're not stopping the run either. And it's just like everything they're doing for the most part is not working. And at this point, look, I go back to what we had last year, just 0 blitz half the time. Yeah, it led to some problems, but with the running game that we have now, if you can 0 blitz your way into, even if they get a touchdown every 3 drives, it's better than 2 out of every 3. And that gives our offense an opportunity. Okay, we've got this run pass balance now where and Tua's healthy and better. I think this year's offense with last year's defense would actually be better than what we have on the field right now. And it's weird because Fangio brought that out when we needed it those first 2 weeks, but then he's kind of kept it in his back pocket. And really, I think he brought it out once against the Broncos, and then we didn't need it.
Right.
But I don't remember seeing it at all yesterday. And I mean, I know it's Josh Allen. He's going to scramble and everything like that. But man, this just getting gashed 5-10 yards every play. It was just so frustrating and just it was very demoralizing. And so we'll get a couple wins, hopefully against the Giants and Panthers, and then we move on from there. But yeah, I mean, I understand your point. This will be the last thing I say is that it's a regular season game, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, you're not wrong, right? But we could finish 13-4. But
Okay.
if we don't have the tiebreaker with Buffalo or Kansas City, you know what I mean? We're still going there in that weather in January at 13-4. So you're not wrong. But now what this means is you got it. You got to beat Kansas City. You know, the Eagle game, it's not non-conference and everything like that. You
Mm-hmm.
won't have any, and we actually played Baltimore too. So if you want to have a hope of AFC top seed, we probably got to run the table on the last Buffalo game, the Ravens game, and the Chiefs game. And this defense against Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, God help us. That's my
Well,
concern.
maybe people should join me in rooting for Taylor and Travis to have the best European vacation possible. Go see everything, guys. Go taste everything. Enjoy yourselves. But you're right. That would be the more important win to have. I keep saying Philly, but yeah, with the conference alignment, Kansas City's the more important game. I just keep saying
Yeah,
going into that game, you got to split Buffalo or Philly. And now that we lost Buffalo, you got to beat Philly. And in order to beat Philly, you're going to have to stop the run. They're going to
right.
push all day on us.
Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, if as long as they beat Kansas City and beat Baltimore, you got to win those NFC games too because you got to win overall games for the division. But
Right.
Kansas City is more important than Philly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's it, you know. If they don't win the division at this point, the way it's looking, good chance they would get that top wild card spot.
Mm,
Um, which would probably um, keep us out of Buffalo or Kansas City in that first week.
mm-hmm.
Maybe have us traveling to who knows Jacksonville. I mean,
That'd be easy.
yeah. I mean, there's a couple of other. So I mean that is a viable route to win a playoff game. But then the second game, you're either at Buffalo or at Kansas City, and I
Right.
mean, I'm the biggest thing. Last thing, I know I said the other thing was last thing, but this is really the
Mm,
last thing. It is very much like with the Panthers, with the Lightning, because we beat them once last year. You know, the Bills, we beat them last year. The game we lost, both games came down to the last play, and we almost beat them in the playoffs at Buffalo with Skylar Thompson. So how in the hell did it get so much worse from that? That's
mm.
the aggravating part. Even if you lose the game, um, look, we were. It's we're they easily could have put up 55 or 62.
Oh yeah.
It
It
easily
could
could.
have it could have been a reverse of
Yeah,
last week if they really wanted
yeah,
to. I guess they want karma for themselves later in the year.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you guys.
If
Good job.
if they had done what we did, which is put their backup in and start throwing 70-yard bombs, it would have easily,
Woo!
right? Yeah, it could have been 55,
This would have been a
62.
fun episode.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if they would have just done? I mean, it started, look, the first half, they got 31. It wasn't like they were not on pace to at least get 60,
Yeah,
you
because we
know?
got 35 in that first half against
Yeah,
Denver.
yeah. It was dicey all the way around. Only thing to do, Dolphin fans, the only way to keep your sanity, and this is tough for me. I want to throw up just saying it, but just forget about it and go on with the rest of the season and see how everything falls. Because you never look, and I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to take this that way.
No.
But we already saw what happened to the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, just like with Tua, everybody is one play from being done because the Bills without Allen or the Ravens without Lamar or the Chiefs
Mm-hmm.
without Mahomes, they're out.
You
They're
don't even have to
done.
be the quarterback. If the Bills lose Diggs, like what
Right.
happens to their offense? You know what I mean?
Right.
Or if we lost Tyreek, and
Right.
and that's what I was saying about Trey White. Like it's super unfortunate. I'm not celebrating that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. I
Like
get it.
I hate it. I especially hate it for him because he just had an ACL injury 2 seasons ago. Like this could be
Right.
his career. It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation, just like Aaron Rodgers blowing out his Achilles, the reality of the situation is that's a big blow to that team.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
as bad as yesterday was, we could be doing a Bengals fan podcast right now. We could be doing a Jets fan podcast right now. Had these same aspirations going into this season.
That's true.
So
That's true. Yep. That's a good
it's
way
week
to
4.
summarize it.
It's all
Yep.
right.
All right. So it's week 4. It's all right. All right. I'm gonna buy that from you, but um, if we lose to the Giants or the Panthers, I'm selling it back to you, and I want interest.
I will sit here and eat crow while talking to you. I will go
God
find one
help us.
outside. There's plenty in Louisiana. And I will fry a real crow and eat it while we're
And
doing
look,
this show.
we not only need to beat the Giants. I swear to God, if we make Daniel Jones look competent and we have to win like 42 to
Dude, we're not
36
the
or something,
Broncos. We're not the Broncos making Justin Fields look like a quarterback.
I swear, if they get more than 2 touchdowns, okay, we need to. All right, but I will defer to Trey for now and not burn down the planet. So, all right, Dolphin fans, it'll get better. It'll get better at least for a couple of weeks. It has to get better. Absolutely has to get better. All right, everybody, appreciate sport, and we'll see you again next week. Hopefully, with smiles on our faces, not sarcastic smiles like this one.